What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bear With Me. This is the show where obviously we strip it down. We talk about what's real. We talk about real shit, real people, and what it takes to become a man that you're meant to become. So today's guest, I got my boy Mike Ripple. We met through JWX. He's real. He's honest. He's been through the kind of life that most of y'all couldn't even imagine. And from a picture perfect childhood to running the streets in Vegas, fighting addiction, hustling, jail time, and ultimately finding his way back to himself. This is the kind of story that hits the chest. So sit down. And once again, as per usual, I'm going to have to ask y'all to bear with me. Let's get into it. Mike, man, how you doing today?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing today, Nigel?
Man, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. So you got your pipe workout in? Got a
Oh
pump
yeah,
on or what?
a little pump on.
I'm talking about, my boy.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Let's get right into it. So you mentioned that you had like a really good upbringing, a great childhood. So how do you think that foundation shaped the man you became, even when you wanted to take a left turn?
Well, I'll tell you, man, like my parents, great people, grew up in a great house, lots of love, and a lot of people that end up going where I went don't have that, right? So that's one of the things I always like to talk about with my story, right? Is like
Hmm.
I chose the life that I chose. But the way that that really helped me later on in life is that like I was always still a good dude. I was just making bad choices, right? Like I was always a very down to earth, very legit person, right? I was just fucking up for myself, man.
And what do you think made you make those choices?
To be honest, man, I was I didn't want mediocrity,
Hmm.
right? I always wanted something more. My thing was growing up in Detroit, like I didn't understand success. So the only people that I knew that were successful and I knew how they were successful were drug dealers.
Hmm.
That's kind of what led me down that path is that I always wanted more and I just didn't know how to get it. Right. All my friends who had successful parents, I thought, it was a family business or the success fairy fucking landed and, sprinkled some success dust on them. I just didn't really get it, man.
Hmm. So how do you think your perception of success has changed?
Man, what I realized is that if I just took all that effort that I was putting in to doing
Hmm.
bad shit, hustling, selling drugs, running the streets, and I just put that into something positive, man, you can get the same type of outcomes.
Yeah. So when you were like in your, we'll say the rebellious stage,
Yeah.
um, do you ever reflect on that and think about what kind of triggered it other than you're wanting to be like live a better life or make that quick fast cash? Because realistically that's what we all back in the day, even myself, that's what we all get caught up. Oh, I want some fast cash, and we don't realize the idea of like slow money is good money. You know what I mean?
Fact.
Yes, fast cash is wicked when it's legit, but like
Yeah.
what do you think kind of made you want to take that turn and be a bit more rebellious and be like, fuck it, even though your parents were great, you had a great upbringing, your brother's a cool dude. I met him yesterday. Like what do you think kind of pushed you in that direction? Do you think it maybe was like the people you were hanging around with or
Without question, I just got caught up with the wrong crowd, man. All my boys, single family or single parent homes, right? No supervision. And as fucked up as it is, I was jealous of that. In fact, my dad told me just recently, because I moved back from Vegas, it's been about 2 years now. And he actually told me that he remembers one time me saying that I wish that they would get divorced so I would only have one parent.
wow.
That hit heavy. I don't
Yeah,
remember
man.
that shit, but that shit hit heavy.
That's when you start to realize how masked you were by anger or you were trying to fill some kind of gap that you didn't realize you had. And you
Yeah.
start and that honestly that is the perfect depiction of when you're younger and you don't understand fuck all.
Yeah, you just
And
don't get it.
yeah, and you react strictly based on emotion. I,
100%.
like
No,
it's
no
like
thought.
in one side out the other, and you didn't even remember saying that, but like that stuck with your dad for this many years. You
Hell
know what I
yeah, did it. Shit hit me hard.
mean? And it goes to the testament of like the power behind the word. And like words can kill people, words can heal people, words can bring people up, words can fix the world. And people don't realize that when you're speaking, you're casting spells. If you're into that spiritual shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's that's a crazy story, man. And it's I'd love to go back. There's some things that I know that I've said to people, or even like my parents, that I'd love to have that like hour-long chat to just bring them back. Let me just say sorry for anything I may have said when I was acting purely on hurt, emotion, shame, whatever the emotion was. My bad if I felt on that, or you know what I mean. You know,
Oh yeah.
you just sparked that. I think I'm gonna have a conversation with my brother too.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
So
These conversations happen for a reason, man.
yeah, man. So
Fact.
so walk me through what was going through your head when you were 16 and you decided to drop out and get deep in the game.
Man, again, the crowd I was around, right? Hanging out with older cats, already out of school, already dropped out. I just wanted to fucking fit in, man, so badly,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So the thought process, I mean, again, the fast money, but it was really at the end of the day, the more I think about it, now that I'm sober and, living a different life, is that it was just acceptance, man. That was it.
I was just gonna say, do you think the root cause of it was acceptance? You felt you weren't
Without
accepted?
without question, man. I just wanted people to like me. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be part of the fucking status quo, whatever you'd like to call it. And I wanted that more than anything else. Like when I was young, I never felt like I fit in anywhere, right? Like elementary school shit, right? Like I always felt like I was kind of just on the outside of the conversation, just on the outside of everything. And I had a bunch of friends and shit. Like it was just shit that I made up in my own head.
Hmm.
We'd be our own worst enemies at all times.
Were you a quiet kid?
I was, yeah. I used to be. It's really probably pretty hard to believe, but I used to keep my opinion to myself. Didn't, I would just fall along with the crowd. I never stood up for what I thought, what I believed in. Never strayed from what everybody else was doing.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? A lot of the time, what that is like I feel when people are meant for something bigger and better, when you're younger, because you think different or your opinion's a lot different from everybody else, you get this sense of insecurity that, am I wrong here? When in reality, everybody else is just a sheep and then
Yeah,
just
that makes
following.
a lot of sense.
And then when you get that mind shift or something happens bad enough, because for everybody, what happens is you don't follow what is true to you. And then you hit this point where something detrimental happens, or you hit that breaking point and you realize, holy shit, I'm not the sheep, I'm the shepherd. I need to be
Facts.
leading these people. I need to be showing these people because I think different and y'all are masked. I need to help you, right? And that's really cool that at least like I love seeing it when somebody's like, you know what it was, man. Like we go through it and it's like it was acceptance. And it's like, see, that's how you know you've done some soul searching and realize what the problem was. Because when you can find the root cause of it, man, on the other side of that, you chilling. You're just like,
Yeah,
ah,
and if you lived as fucked up as I did, and
yeah,
you want to turn that shit around, you don't have a choice, bro. You gotta reflect, right? You gotta look back at why you did the things you did, And like I said, I was always a good person, so I never did people wrong, right? Like that was never my thing. Like I know a lot of addicts, like they fuck their family over, they do dirt, they do shit to people that they later on in life regret. And I'm sure there was conversations and things I said, I didn't treat people all the way right, but at the end of the day, like I was always still a good person.
yeah, I like that. And so, did you ever feel like you were in too deep, or was it just kind of like normal for you at the time?
It was, dude, it was so normal. It's fucked up how normal it was,
Mm-hmm.
right? When I look back at it and I'm like thinking the things that I did. I mean, at 16 years old, I'm going down to Detroit. I'm picking up 3, 5, 10, 20 pounds of weed every couple times a week, right? Throwing that shit in the back of the truck, bringing it back out to the suburbs. And like, I really just thought that shit was normal, bro.
Yeah. And did your parents know about it, or like have an inkling that you were in some trouble, or you were just kind of,
Yeah. They had an idea. They didn't know honestly until I started sharing my story more on social media. They had no idea how deep it was. But
mm-hmm.
back then, I was getting into the normal little trouble that a fucking teenage kid who smokes and sells weed gets into.
Yeah.
Little trouble in school, little trouble with the cops, but really nothing major at that point.
Okay. Okay. And then after after you dropped out, you kind of you did your thing, you were pushing pounds, and then you ended up moving to Vegas. Now, I know for most people Vegas seems like a wild time. But like what was the tipping point in that relationship in that lifestyle that sent you packing back to Michigan? Because you went to, like, walk me through, you went to Vegas. So at what point did you go to Vegas? Let's get to that first.
Yeah, so I was 20, dating this girl, high school sweetheart, right? So we had been dating since 16.
Okay.
I had a homeboy living out in Vegas who had left because he was getting in a lot of trouble, right?
Okay.
And we went out there for New Year's 2005, and
Okay.
I got laid off from my job not too long after getting back. And we had some money stacked up, and I actually saw people that I knew, like my friends, starting to buy houses in the same neighborhood their parents lived in, buying trailers in the same trailer park, and it just smacked me in the face. Like, I got to get the fuck out of here, man. I'm meant for something more than fucking Wolverine Lake, Michigan, like this little ass town. I didn't really know what that meant, but I was willing to go find out. And Vegas was an easy move. I knew somebody out there. Weather was better, so
Okay.
I said, "Fuck it." We packed up and moved out, man. But it was a mess, though. I mean, I was already an alcoholic, right? I
Yeah.
was already a drug addict. I was already living wrong. But when I went out there, it was kind of like I kept partying, but I wasn't in the drug scene, right? Like I was still smoking weed and all that, but like I wasn't selling drugs. I didn't know anybody to get them from like that, you know? So it was kind of like, I guess, almost a normal life, right? I just went to work, came home, chilled with my girl, chilled with the, with the crew. But then, I mean, it was an extremely toxic place. My ex was an alcoholic as well,
Mhm.
right? So, you put two alcoholics in a place where you can drink 24/7, 365, and it's accepted, widely. That's a recipe for disaster. So we ended up breaking up. I didn't let my pride got the best of me. Let's put it that way,
Mhm.
right? So I packed up my fucking car. I mean, I'm talking grabbed just piles of clothes. Didn't even put them in bags. Just threw them
Yeah.
in the fucking car. By the time I hit Arizona, I already knew I fucked up, but my pride wouldn't let me turn around. So my ass drove all the way back to Michigan, all the way back to Detroit. Um, and then I clicked up with my boy that I was pushing pounds with back then, that I was going and picking the weed up for, and we got together. People found out I was back. It took me a week to the day getting back in Michigan to catch my first felony charge. So I got pulled over with a half pound of weed in my trunk. We were golfing and drinking all day and shit. So like they searched the car, they found that shit, and that was kind of the start of all the real trouble. Um, I got probation for that case. When the probation kicked in, my probation officer got switched because of where I moved. And I walked into his office and he started yelling about some shit about me not being able to take a piss test at that time. And he went back in his office and I was like, fuck this, I'm out. Went back home, told my girl we're going back to Vegas. Um,
So
Took
did
off
you
from there.
get back with your girl?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So she ended up, after I moved back, she came back for one of our friends' weddings. We ended up clicking back up and we ended up getting married. Like that was going to fix some shit, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we got married here in Michigan, and then like I said, I ran on probation, right? So I absconded. I became a fugitive. We packed up our shit, moved back out to Vegas after that.
That's what I was gonna say. So you got caught on those. So you got married. You got caught on those charges. Then you
Yep.
dipped out on your probation. What was the
Yeah.
mindset there? Was it just straight survival mode?
Oh, 100%. Like I knew at that point I was living so fucked up that like there was zero chance that I was completing probation. I was like, I got a better chance on the run than I do staying here.
Mm-hmm. And why'd you decide it was a better chance on the run than being on probation?
Well, because I knew I'd fuck up and I knew I'd go to jail. So I'm like, you know what? If I can run across the country, like on some catch me if you can type shit, right? Like that was my mindset. I just didn't give a fuck. I
So
didn't.
do you think sometimes when you like, so your mindset was already set, like, I'm gonna fuck up, right?
Yep.
So what do you think gave you the mindset of like doubting yourself and thinking that you're gonna fuck up already? Because
Oh, I could tell you. I
it's
Yeah, for sure. That's an
it's
easy answer.
crazy how we get that idea in ourselves, and I think that holds a lot of people back from success. A lot of the clients that I have, I'm sure some that you have, when you give them a program or you give them right away, they're like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And
Yep.
it's one of those indicators of right off the hop. It's like, nah, dude, you don't understand. You can do this. And I think a lot of people have that barrier where they already doubt themselves when they don't realize how much they're actually capable of to get things done and to live that life that you're meant to live, or live that life that you're is your calling, right? and it's a huge barrier that we all need to get up past of hey, like, oh, I'm already gonna fuck it up, so why do it? Like, let's ruin it before it even gets going, right?
It's wild.
Yeah. So like, what do you think? Why'd you have that mentality?
I had given up on everything in my entire fucking life, bro. I mean, I'm talking Boy Scouts, art class, fucking karate, right? Like, I mean, you name it. Literally everything I had ever done, I'd given up on. And the reason why I gave up on, I mean, I realize this now, right? The reason why I'd given up on everything is that I didn't understand that you're not going to be good at shit when you first start it. Like, if you've never done it, of course you're going to be bad at it, right? But I had the mindset of like, oh, this isn't meant for me. I'm just going to fuck it up. I'm not going to succeed anyway, right? And so I would just give up because that was easier than going through the trials and errors to
Mhm.
actually make shit happen. And so, like, I had just convinced myself that I wasn't capable of completing anything, whether it's probation. I mean, it didn't really matter what it was. I had dropped out of school. I had done all that shit, right?
Okay, that's wild, man.
Yeah, it's a fucked up mindset to have, bro.
Yeah. So not a lot of people understand like what a fugitive really is and what it is like. So let me like tell us a little bit of what it's like living or what it was like living as a fugitive all those years, like mentally and emotionally.
It was the most stressful time in my life ever. Um, I was eating I got addicted to Xanax when I got out there. I got out back out to Vegas. I linked up with this dude that had a hookup on that shit, and I needed something. I needed something to take the edge off. Right, living as a fugitive, you're constantly looking over your shoulder. And I was a fugitive for 8 years. Right, so it wasn't just a little while. Yeah, it was a hot minute, man. And so you're constantly looking over your shoulder. I couldn't put anything in my name. I really couldn't have a real job. I couldn't travel. And meanwhile, the girl that I'm married to at the time, right? She's looking at me like, what the fuck what am I doing? Right? Like, what am I even gonna have a life with this dude? So the marriage was fucked up, wasn't living right, stressed out all the time, just fucking doped up all the time, just numb all the time, drinking heavily. And it causes a lot of stress on all your relationships, not just the marriage. I mean, I didn't have a relationship with my family barely, right? Because I didn't want to put them into the position to where like they knew where I was and what I was doing, right? I didn't have any relationship with them. It was it was the toughest time in my entire life, for
Mhm.
sure.
Now we'll get to this a little bit, but what were like so if you how long were you supposed to be on probation for?
It would have been 3 years.
3 years.
Yep.
So you ever look back and think if you had just done the 3 years, obviously you do, but like instead of doing, because basically when you're running as a fugitive, you're pretty much on probation anyways, because you're running from all the you're running from all the charges that you're going to catch. So
Yep.
you're pretty much living like this secret life or this restricted life regardless. And you did it
Yeah,
for
it's just
eight
a different
years.
style.
Yeah. And you did it
Yeah,
for
yeah,
eight
100%.
years rather than three. You know what I mean?
Fact. Yeah, it's crazy when you're stuck in that mindset. It's like, yeah, I mean, I traded 8 years for three, right? When I could have just went through and did the shit that I had to do, bossed the fuck up, been a man about it, right? Just
Yeah.
handled my business. But that I had never lived like that, man. I never had any real accountability for anything that I had ever done.
And you were running a business too while you were still hooked on Xannies. So
Yeah, man.
how are you even functional, dude?
That's a good question, bro, to be honest with you. But I had it down to a system, just like anything else. Like, when you're on the run and you're doing that type of shit, you got to live very systematically, right? Like I said, I didn't really drive anywhere. I didn't, like I wouldn't put nothing in my name, didn't sign any paperwork or anything like that. But with the business, man, I owned and operated a slot promotions company with a couple of guys, and so we had a major contract outside of a casino on Las Vegas Boulevard, Casino Royale. And I just worked the 9 to 3 shift, right? So by the time 3 o'clock came, would be about the time I was too fucked up to function in life, right? I was too zannied out, too drunk. In fact, there was a couple of times where I had to cover the later shift and didn't get off till 9. One of the times in particular, one of the security guards had to come out and shut everything down for me. He's like, "Bro, you weren't even speaking English by the time you left because I was taking pills on such a time schedule, right? That I couldn't operate past 3 o'clock and be out in fucking the real world.
Okay.
So, but I had to stay. And he's like, dude, I had to lock everything up. I had to shut everything down. He's like, you weren't even speaking English. I had to put you in the fucking car when your wife came to get you, the whole nine, man. So I guess barely is the answer to that. Barely.
So you ever think back to that like double loss year where you lost your marriage, your company, and your injury because you
Oh
got
yeah.
injured, right?
Yeah, I shattered my kneecap. So I got divorced. We lost the contract at the casino, and then I shattered my knee all in the same year.
Okay.
That's when it went bad. That's when shit started to go downhill.
That's what I was gonna say. Did you realize that that might have been your breaking point?
It was without a doubt. At the time, I didn't. I didn't at all. I thought, oh, it's all good, everything's fine, right? But when you look back on it and you look at the series of events that happened, and then what transpired after that, I mean, I just went full fucking ratchet mode, dude. I was just hustling the Vegas Strip, got into selling coke, still selling weed, and that was it. I just hustled the Strip.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too of like you kind of get so good at faking every aspect of what you're really feeling and all the bullshit. You just get so good at faking it. Then when that real shit happens, boom, marriage gone, company gone, blew my knee. Like you, you get so good at faking it to everybody else that you almost fake it to yourself, like, ah, yeah, I was good. But in reality, you were crumbling.
Oh, dude, falling apart at the fucking seams, man.
Yeah.
And I was so good. I mean, you nailed it too, because I was so good at faking it that there's people that knew me at that point, at my fucking lowest, that didn't
Mm-hmm.
even realize how bad it was. Like when I got sober and shit, started telling my story, they're like, dude, I didn't even realize it was that bad. And these are cats that knew me, right?
Yeah. And what kind of things did you do to cope other than drugs, like to fake it to people so they didn't realize what the fuck was going on with you?
Oh man, you put a smile on your face, act like everything's fine, you know. I mean, I was making good money, right? So I was making, a substantial amount of money out there. But I was still living in a weekly paid apartment and like an extended stay motel,
Yeah.
right? I was still waking up fucking broke every morning because I was out hustling, right? So
Yeah.
I go out, make 500 a grand in a night, whatever the case was. But most days I would wake up the next day broke,
Yeah.
right? Because I spent on drugs, alcohol, gambling, women, whatever, right?
Yeah. So
But
did
yeah,
you
man.
so living that life, how long did you do that when after you lost everything? How many years did you do that for?
Well, shit, that was
Like
everything.
hustling the strip.
Yeah, everything went down in 2013. That was the year that everything started falling apart. And I did that until I caught my Fed charge in fucking 2018, man. So I did it.
And okay, so have you even thought of hitting the gym or been active like that, physically active at all by this point?
Yeah, man. So fitness, it's funny because fitness was kind of always in the background, right? I got certified as a personal trainer for the first time in 2011.
Okay.
Um, then after that, I mean, I was so addicted to Xanax. I was fucking drinking all the time. I mean, there was zero chance that the business was going anywhere. But I always had the weight bench at the house, so fitness was kind of always there. I just was living so fucked up that I was just restarting all the time. I was, using excuses on why I wasn't working out, right? Life, blah, blah, blah. But it was just really just me living fucked up.
Hmm. That's wild, man. So then you got you got busted and you were forced back to go to Michigan. So how'd you get caught?
Well, in 2014, hustling the strip, undercovers were very aware of what I was doing, but they couldn't catch me in the act of doing it. Right. I had systems set up out there where I didn't sell drugs to tourists. I sold drugs to the people that sold drugs to tourists.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a little bit less risk. Anyway,
Yeah.
one night, the homies were all chilling about 20 deep at Casino Royale, getting fucked up every night like we always did. And my boy even called me up and he's like, bro, undercover's booting up, getting ready to come in Royale. He knew I was in there. And but I wasn't doing anything at the time, like at that moment, so I didn't even give a fuck. And they came in, bum rushed us all, and I had like I had some weed on me and some coke and a scale and so I had been arrested probably 5 or 6 times on misdemeanors prior to that, but my warrants had never came up. So I had a couple DUIs, some other bullshit, and but my warrants had never came up. But when I caught the next felony charge, they checked in the database and they found out that I was a fugitive. So um, Detroit didn't want to come get me. They weren't going to spend the money to do it. They said, fuck it, we don't even want them. But they made it a condition of my probation in Nevada, in Vegas, that I had to go back and clear up my warrants, or they were going to keep violating me every 90 days and put me back in jail out here. So I did 101 days in Clark County because they wouldn't let me out before sentencing because of my fugitive history, right? So
Yeah.
they knew I was a flight risk. So they kept me there. Once I got out, I came back to Michigan. So I was facing 4 years in state prison back here. By the grace of God, got 47 days in Oakland County Jail. Time served, case closed. I go back out to Vegas. Now I got 3 years probation out there, right? So 2014 to 2017. So I finished that shit up, get a real job. But I mean, I'm still blowing coke. I'm still drinking like crazy and shit. I'm still not living. I mean, I got the job by selling the dude a gram of coke. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I wasn't living right still. Um, and then I got off probation in 2017 for that case, sometime in 2017. And by the spring of 2018, I caught a Fed case doing the same shit.
Yeah. So you said, but yeah, you said 2018, you were like still deep in the game. And what made you like finally step away and change all the bullshit you were doing, change your life?
Man, so I was for that case. So it started off as a state case. I was selling weed to an undercover cop for a couple of months. They had a couple month investigation on me and they raided my place, right? SWAT, fucking flash grenaded, knocked the door down, the whole shit, right? Like you would have thought I was like cooking meth in there or something. I was just selling weed at the time. But they kicked in the door. I went to county jail. My lawyer hit me up, thinking I'm getting some news on the court case, and she's like, "Bad news. The feds picked up the case. The U.S. Marshals will be there to get you sometime in the next 24 to 72 hours." And my heart fucking sank. I didn't even know what that meant, bro. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even understand what the feds picking up the case was.
Yeah. So what
So
did
then the
it?
mar okay.
I said, what did it mean?
So the marshals came and got me, picked me up. They took me out to the federal holding facility in Pahrump, Nevada. Um, and what I learned was that since there was guns and drugs, because when they raided my place, they didn't find a bunch of weed, they found a gun as well. And I'm a convicted felon, so felon in possession of a firearm. And anytime you get guns and drugs in the same place, especially on a silver platter like they had me, feds are picking that up 10 out of 10 times, right? Slam dunk case. So instead of just, a couple of years in state prison, now I'm looking at 74 months in federal prison.
Damn.
Some big boy numbers, a
Yeah.
little over 6 years.
Okay. So how, what happened with that case?
So I sat in the holding facility for a little while. My lawyer was able to get me out, got me into a federal halfway house for a minute where I was able to get a job. So I got a job, got myself up out of there, but I was just right back into the hood, right back into those same fucking weekly motels, right? Same fucking lifestyle. I couldn't do hard drugs because I was getting drug tested regularly, but I could drink. So I literally just went back to the same shit. So I was on what they call pretrial release, right? So it's basically probation before sentencing. So I still had to jump through all the hoops, go do the drug test, go check in, not get in trouble, keep the job, blah blah blah, all that same shit. So I'm doing that, and I got no fucking hope for the future at this point. So like if you thought I was living bad prior to that, right? Like living with no hope back then, I had zero hope for the future. I mean, my lawyer told me you're going to prison, bro. Like it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of how
When?
long.
Okay.
You're right, like how long it's going to take. But the fucked up thing about Fed cases is that they take a really long time, right? State case there, I don't know how it is up there in Canada, but down here, you got your right to a speedy trial, right? So in a state case, they're pushing you through as fast as possible, trying to catch you to get a plea bargain or whatever, and just fucking cycling you through. Fed cases take a little bit longer. It's a lot of delays. So the problem, I mean, I'm drinking at my heaviest, right? I got no hope for the future. And every 90 days, I got my first court date. Every 90 days, they're pushing the court date back. Now, I don't know which one of these pushbacks is going to be the last one. So every 3 months or so, I'm getting financially, emotionally prepared, whatever, to walk into this fucking building and not walk out or see my friends and family potentially for fucking, 6 years or better.
Yeah.
right? And the way I was living at that point, man, I just didn't care. So I probably would have got into prison, got into some gang activity, kept living the same fucking way I was living. So who knows if I would have even got out, right? But that was my mindset going in.
Mm.
So, and then enter COVID lockdowns. So now I'm living the worst I've ever lived, drinking the most I've ever drank, and now they're gonna lock me in my fucking house. So I got the charge in 2018. Now it's fast forward, we're into 2020, right? Still fighting the case.
Yeah.
Uh, so now it's COVID lockdowns, man. I'm stuck with the bottle, YouTube, my thoughts. I couldn't go out and party and work and hit the strip, right? Because, when you live in Vegas, it's really easy to just forget about living real life. Like you can just go hit the strip, go party, and do what you guys do when you come there for a weekend. I did that every day. That was my life. And when I didn't have that, I didn't have that distraction. I didn't have that, outlet really.
Hmm.
Uh, Depression kicked in, thought about killing myself a few times, because I'm thinking, fuck, I'm 120 pounds. I'm about to go to federal prison, right? Like,
Yeah.
because my drinking addiction at that point was like a dope addiction, right? I didn't eat. I didn't do anything because it would fuck up my buzz. So I was 120 pounds. I was sick, man. I was real sick. And then court comes. Was it June 5th, 2020? So the day finally comes, right? Been waiting for this forever. I'm as fucking prepared as I possibly could be.
Yeah.
I walk into the courthouse, man, and I meet my lawyer in the hallway, and she tells me that the judge is giving me probation. I don't know if it was the 2 years that I had done on the pretrial release. I don't know if it was the character witness like type of like I had a bunch of people write in like testimonials about me and who I am as a person, right? And so I don't know what it was, man, but the judge, I guess, saw something in me that I fucking didn't see in myself, and she took a bet on me, man. And if you think about it, like, I got my first felony charge in 2006, ran on that shit till I got caught again in 2014, got off probation for that in 2017, and picked up a Fed case doing the exact same shit by 2018. So I clearly had not learned my lesson, right? So I don't know what the judge saw in me, but she saw something. And when I walked out of the courtroom, man, that's when I knew that I had to change my life, man. I was a few months away from being 36, right? Still living like I'm in my fucking 20s. And I knew to change my life, the catalyst had to be that I had to quit drinking, right? I had to stop drinking. So I made the decision that day that I was going to change my life, that I wanted to change my life. Let's put it that way. But it took me 2 months, 2 months and 3 days, technically, to get the balls to quit drinking.
Hmm. And what was that process like? Like when you
It
finally quit
was,
the
it
bottle?
was super, yeah, like it was super fucked up, man, because like I had never wanted to quit in my life. I'd never thought about quitting. Like I knew I was an alcoholic, but I didn't think I had a problem. I always say it's hard to read the label when you're in the jar, right?
Yeah.
So I just didn't realize all the damage I was doing. But it got even more fucked up after that for those months because when you really, really want to do something,
Hmm.
but you just can't fucking figure it out, right? Like you just for whatever reason you can't connect the dots and make the change. So that's where I was at for like 2 months, right? Knowing that I wanted to change, knowing that I didn't want to live like this, but not fucking doing anything about it. Right. So I still kept drinking. I was probably drinking even heavier at that point because now I'm battling all kinds of fucking demons.
Hmm.
Uh, and I honestly don't know what it was. I was just done. I was in the middle of a blackout, a 2-day bender, trying to get the girl I'm dating to keep taking shots with me at like 10 o'clock in the morning the next fucking day, right? And whatever it was clicked, bro. And I was in the corner of my room, curled up in a ball, fucking ugly crying, as the ladies like to call it, right? And like I said, I was 120 pounds, ribs fucking poking out, sick, tired, and I was just fucking done living like that, man.
Hmm. And you said you told the girl that you were dating at the time and your buddy to dump all the bottles.
Yeah, man. So, at that point, I'm in the middle of a 2-day bender blackout, right? And I tell them that I'm done drinking. And I was like, I need you guys to pour all the liquor down the fucking drain. I had just sent the girl I was dating, I just sent her to the store, got a half gallon of whiskey, 15 rack of beer. I just cracked them bitches open. And they were really hesitant on pouring it down the drain because they thought I was gonna wake up from that blackout and be pissed off because I didn't have any liquor. Saying some shit like I'd never fucking tell you to dump that down the drain, which was, I mean, they could have been right, but they weren't. And thank God they did it because when I did wake up, there was no alcohol in the house. And I remembered saying I was done. I remember how I felt curled up in that corner of the fucking room crying. And I told him, I was like, mate, I might need you to go to the store, grab me a tall can here and there. Cause I had a history of seizures when I came off Xanax. It almost killed me. I had a seizure at a gas station, almost died. So alcohol and benzos are the two things that can kill you from withdrawals, right? Because you can have seizures coming off of them. So I was a little worried about that, but I never had to, man. Um, I think when you're done, you're done,
Yeah.
and my body knew that.
What was the detox like? Like the withdrawals? Was it tough?
To be honest, bro, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, I mean, I was an alcoholic for 20 years. For 15 years, I had drank over a bottle of liquor and beer every day, right? And I really, really thought like the detox was going to be bad. I thought I'd have the shakes and shit, and I mean, life wasn't cool. I mean, it wasn't great, but
Yeah.
I think for me, it was more the habitual nature of the drinking that I was addicted to, the lifestyle. I was physically dependent on the alcohol for sure. There was days I'd go to the bar, mornings I'd go to the bar, right, and I couldn't even get the fucking glass to my hand, right, or to my mouth in my hand because I was so shaky. So I'd have to drink my liquor off the fucking bar through a straw with the cup on them. So I was definitely physically addicted. But again, like I said, like I was done, and I think my body knew it, and it was just ready to fucking do the work. I think my body was done living like that too, man.
Yeah. And what year was that?
That was August 8th, 2020 was the last sip of liquor that I took.
Wow. Good for you, man.
Thank you.
Okay. So then what brought you into JWX, and like how is the community that we're in, or even just changing your surroundings and the people that you're with, how has that played a role in your healing?
Well, I'll tell you, man. And you and I have talked about this a few times. Like when I changed my life, I had to isolate myself from everybody that I knew. Because everybody I know is almost still now living like that. I've had a couple of buddies that have gotten sober since I have and changed their life around and shit. And I feel so blessed to be able to have been, that influence in their life, right? So they could turn it around. But at the end of the day, though, I didn't have anybody in my life that was striving for more. I didn't have anybody in my life that even cared about getting sober, cared about, building anything. And so like it's fucking lonely, man. You know,
Mhm.
you're trying to grind and you're trying to do things and you're trying to be a part of build something bigger, still wanting to be a part of something, right? We're humans, so we have like that tribal mentality, right? Where
Yeah.
we want to be with people, right? And so it still wasn't easy. Like sobriety was tough. But coming back, getting into JWX, getting surrounded by a bunch of fucking killers, right? A bunch of cats who are, I mean, we're all kind of on the same page, right? Moving towards something. I mean, it's been such a breath of fresh air. Let's call it that. To get in with a group of people who have similar backgrounds, who are all striving for something similar.
Man,
Just
there's
gotta
this
get that
hair.
air, bro.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. It's like a
I'd
cat.
say you wearing my hat?
Yeah. That's wild, man. So after you got sober, or you're struggling with sobriety and you kind of get into JWX, or even right before you got into JW and started really building the ripple effect. Shout out Ripple Effect Fitness. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
What was that moment like? Not the sobriety like to get sober, but what was the moment that you were like, you know what? It's time to rebuild and start helping other people and do what I'm meant to do.
Man, I had a realization, revelation, maybe you might want to call it. And I realized, so I used to think that I wasted that whole 20 years when I was fucking up, being an alcoholic, selling drugs, doing dirt on the run, all that shit. And I thought that was a waste of time. But as we talked about earlier, with growth, you need the reflection has to be there. And I realized that it wasn't a waste of time. And I realized that God put me here to go through everything that I put myself through, make it out on the other side. I mean, basically unscathed, right? At the age that I did, at almost 36 years old, to show other men that are lost like me that it's not too late, that it is possible, that they're not too far gone. And that's really what changed everything for me, man, is realizing that my mess is now my message. And, I went from selling dope to selling hope, and trying to provide that for other men that are lost in the same
Mhm.
spot that I was.
So for anybody that is like feeling lost, or um, I like to use the term like for anybody that's kind of still navigating their way through their dark space, we'll say. Um, and you, for example, when you had that mentality of like, I'm just gonna fuck it up anyways, and that shift the final time when you actually made that change, what kind of piece of advice could you let somebody know that maybe you wanted to hear or needed to hear when you were in that position? What's something that they can take away from this that they can kind of use and move forward and get off or fight the demons that they're meant to fight with your head held high to be able to get out of it?
The biggest thing for me was that failure is just a fucking part of success. It's a part of life. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you're a fuck up. It's not because you don't deserve it. It's not because it's too late. It's not because you're too far gone. It's just part of it. And you got to stick through that. And if you can push through the failures, learn from your lessons, right? And apply those in life and keep moving forward, like you will fucking make it.
Yeah.
Right. So if it's getting off drugs, if it's getting in shape, if it's getting out of a shitty relationship, if it's building that business, whatever the fuck it is, right? You got to go through it to get to it.
Mm-hmm. I think oh people as well, I mean, fuck, myself included. I remember I'll look back and you kind of made me realize a couple of things in this call too, is that like the amount of times that I've told myself that I'm gonna fuck something up before I even get started and before I even try it. And I don't even attempt it. And then a couple of years later, I go and I hit it and I'm exceptional. I crush it. And I think the idea of where you said, if you can push through it, it's one of those things of like, when you push through it. So
Yeah.
don't put that if there, because that's already predisposing yourself to the like, well, if I do it, I'll be happy. No, motherfucker. When you
When?
do it. And
Yeah.
I saw a reel because like every once in a while I'll get a reel that pops up and I'm like, oh, let's peep that. And I can't remember who said it, don't know who it was, but it hit. And it was like, anybody who's successful, you can try a million times and fail, but you only need a hit once
Yep.
and everything changes. Just one hit. And it's like, you don't realize the amount of times, like, if you look back in your life, or even just since you got sober and you've been doing your business venture, how many times have you fucked up your shit? Countless,
I was gonna say I couldn't even try to tell you.
right? And then you start to realize, like, damn, I really have been like fucking this shit up like crazy.
Yeah.
And you start to realize, well, because my mindset changed, that I haven't fucked it up. It wasn't too late for me. I wasn't too deep in it. I wasn't too far gone. I wasn't too far lost. It's just that instead of taking those fails and jumping back on, I take these fails and I learn from it. And now I go hit it again, but I do it better and I do it
Yep.
different. And I grow and I evolve and I reach higher potential every time. And then when you do complete that, your confidence gets built. Something else gets changed in your mind. The possibility gets bigger. The vision gets bigger. The drive gets stronger. You feel me?
Yeah.
And then you
100%.
start to push even more. And then what happens? Exponential growth. And
It's
that's a
just like
beautiful
in the
thing to
gym,
see.
man. You know,
Right.
you go fail a fucking lift, right? You go back at it, right? You go
Mm.
back at it. You might fail 5 fucking times before you hit it. You might fail 10 times before you hit that lift,
Yeah.
right? But when you get in there, and that's the one thing that I love about the gym and fitness, and that's why I use it as a cornerstone of my program, right?
Mhm.
Because inside the gym with your fitness and nutrition, it's everything that you can control, right? You learn how to get laser focus on all the aspects that you can control, and it kind of helps you just forget about the shit that you can't control, right?
Yeah.
And then you start using those lessons other places in life. Like fitness is definitely by far, without a doubt, what saved me, right? That's what built me. That's what built the mindset, is everything that I learned in the gym and with my nutrition, because you can control how and if you move your body, right? You can control what the fuck you put in your mouth, right? Then you start controlling, what
Oh,
you
did he?
watch and listen to, right? You start controlling what you watch and listen to, right? The people that you surround yourself with. And that's why my last name is Ripple, but the ripple effect of fitness is the reason why I'm in it. Like a lot of people think I'm a fitness fanatic. I'm fucking not at all, but I'm a personal development fanatic, right?
Yeah.
I'm a sobriety fanatic. I'm a striving to be your best fanatic. And fitness is that gateway. At
Yeah.
least that's the medium that I understand and what I used.
So after all this, like getting into you've done a couple of mentorships, learning a bunch from the best of the best, building your business, getting to where you are now, the success you're seeing, and still growing. Now, what like with fitness and now you have the Ripple Effect Fitness. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what your role is with Ripple Effect and what your main focus is for people who are wondering what you do now and how you got up out of it and that there is light on the other side, right? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so I run an online coaching business. I help men over 35 build fitness, discipline, and a life after alcohol. So I use, as I was talking about, we use fitness to get these guys lasered fucking dialed in on the things that they can control. Because, you're running around in day-to-day life, man. You can't control, like, if your kid's soccer practice goes over. You can't control what's going on at work, right? But you can control everything in the gym. And so we use that to get them laser focused and build the discipline that they need to basically, what I do is I help them build the confidence, the consistency, the knowledge, right? To be able to go out and tackle whatever goals they have in life, regardless of what life throws at them. Right. So no matter how busy they are, how tired they are, how stressed they are, whether they fucking feel like it or not, when these guys leave the program, they execute.
I love that. So for anybody, like, how do they get in touch with you? How are they going to get in touch with you if I want to work with you? If I have any questions, and just even if I need somebody who's going through the same shit that I'm going through right now, who's been there and done that, how do I get in touch with you?
The best way is going to be through my Instagram at Michael Ripple Coaching. That's got all my content on there. I mean, you can go there, see exactly what I'm about, what I do, how I do it, who I do it for. And I mean, with that being said, I mean, I target men, right? But at the end of the day, half of my clients are still women. So, ladies, I got you too. Don't trip on that. But yeah, but at the end of the day, man, come check it out. Come see what I'm all about. And if you like what I got to say, and if you like the vibe, I'm not gonna bullshit you. You'll be able to tell very quick. I don't fucking sugarcoat anything. This is about getting better and not dealing with any excuses. So, come check it out. Hit the DMs and let's talk.
I love it, man. I love it. Mike, man, this was heavy. It was real. It was powerful. And obviously, you know what it is, man. We talk every day. I respect the hell out of you and your journey. And the fact of where
Man,
you are
likewise.
now, like the fact of where you are now and how you decided to choose better and you continuously day by day choose to get better and be better. It's a beautiful thing to see, my dude. And so
Man,
for anybody listening, just know no matter where you are, where you started, what you've done, or how dark your past is, you can always rewrite your story. And
100%.
you just got to be around the right people and do the inner work and show up for yourself. So if Mike's story hit you today, share this episode, pass it to somebody who needs to hear it. And as always, everybody, I'd like to thank you. Chin up, chest out. Thanks for bearing with me. Lego.